On the 29th of March at 6:35. Apologies and reasons for absences. We have rather a few. Councillor Toseland has a dental appointment. Councillor Ainsley is stuck overseas. Councillor Tuxley is unwell. Councillor Garwood has actually resigned as of today. Councillor Williams has work commitments. You just took your name on the floor, Adam.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, do we have a proposer to accept those? Thank you. And a seconder, Chris Nick. Next, Chris. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Deputations from the public. Anybody got anything to say this evening? No?
Declarations.
Let's do it more quietly than that. Okay,
I've got a short.
Yes, can you just, because I just missed a bit. Sorry, no, it's my fault. Sit down a minute.
Did you miss what I meant?
The declarations of members' interests and applications for dispensation, do we have any this evening?
I will declare on the accounts, it's a final payment to
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank
you.
you. Okay, so now we'll go back to the deputations. Okay, would you like to take the floor?
It may not qualify as a deputation, but I just want to take the opportunity to talk briefly about the maintenance of the wooded area adjacent to part of the centenary field, adjacent to the Transman's Drive. I've previously spoken with Ben and very briefly with Kathy, and we just talked about the fact that wooded area, for whatever reason, has tended to be neglected, and I wanted to make sure within the work that's been planned, such as Cuts Close, that it got onto the list and got onto the agenda. I'm aware through attending some of the meetings that there's a lot of work to be done at Cuts Close in terms of branch work, tidying up, and I can imagine. And there's a lot to do in that wooded area, in the field. There's an extensive amount of broken branches, tree damage left lying about. What's tended to happen over the last 2 to 3 years is it's become a bit of a dumping ground. So where there's been wind damage, where the vandals have cut branches off or knocked them down or whatever, they're just left lying and accumulating. So it's now squelted, and it looks really like a really depressed woodland area. And as you walk past, there's just heaps. It's like someone's making bonfires. It's not that big a task to deal with. I want to make sure it wasn't being left again. And I think if we get some notice, I can probably get some help to clear it. It will make such a difference. I mean, the centenary field is one of the sort of last open field areas. The woodland looks fantastic when the leaves are out, not so good at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll all benefit from it. As you know, there's a lot of people goes through that wooded area, children, adults, hundreds of school children actually, and a lot of people walking there. So I think it will be a great asset. So I know the residents in that area will support it if we can get something organised on that. And I know work has been done in the past and a new footpath laid. We've also still got the ongoing issue with wire. There's a lot of wire there dangling, quite dangerous. And the more you look, the more you find. And I went round this morning, and there is a terrific amount there.
Okay, so that's really a priority then, isn't it?
Yeah, and it really is quite worrying when you actually do closely look at it. I mean, there's some damaged fencing, but the wiring is a real issue. So, if you like, the maintenance, I think that also will give a good answer back to the antisocial behaviour issue. Because the more we try and upgrade it, the more likely it is that people respect it. People still going there trying to knock the trees down, trying to set fires to it and that sort of thing. There's a huge branch being propped up, which is really dangerous. So I just hope we can, get it onto the agenda.
Yeah, well, what we might do is have a quick word with Lee, our handyman, and see if we can get him up there to do a bit of an assessment tomorrow. Depending on what he's already got planned for tomorrow, obviously, but in the next week we'll definitely get him up there to do an assessment.
And I'm certain we can support and actually help. In terms of the antisocial behaviour, which is another subject, obviously, I was in there having a look this morning, and I was surprised they've got industrial-sized nitrous oxide canisters in there.
Oh.
So I cleared out 2, and there's one in the field as well. And I didn't. You probably know the medical size and industrial size. So anyway, I just cleared 2 out there this morning.
But yes, we'll definitely get Lee to have a quick survey of the area, hopefully tomorrow, if not in the next couple of days or so.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
Martin.
I know I've sent an email, but it goes on to the subject of trees. And I, as you know, reported cuts close to the Health and Safety Executive. Unfortunately, they can't help unless somebody's seriously injured or killed, is the response. And as I pointed out in emails to you before, in this January, a young girl was killed in a council area, and the parish council was fined basically the city council was fined what you have in reserves, which makes the life seem a bit worthless. But I don't want Oakham Town Council to be in that situation. Only this weekend again, and I didn't take pictures of it because Kathy kindly emailed me and said it's been cleared up. Another branch fell down on the footpath. You only have to look at the trees to see all the dead branches. And if they fall on somebody from the height there, I don't know what's gone wrong. You budget, is it £10,000 a year for the trees? And in the last, say 5 years, you've not pollarded the trees in Cuts Close. You could say you used to take off every year about 2 metres from the height of those trees, because they have a tendency of also falling over because they're rooted into a slope. So I know you're coming to the end of the term now, but you've got serious issues with trees. It needs to be put down as an agenda item, not just to send the handyman, no disrespect to the handyman, to look at this. There's been reports over the years which have cost thousands of pounds, not acted on. So somehow the council needs to resolve that either those reports are found, work is carried out before somebody is really hurt.
We do have a report. Okay. We have a recent tree report, we will refer back to it and make sure that everything has been sorted on it. That's okay with you two girls? Joy, was it you that had your hand up, or your husband?
I'd like to take the gentleman's contact details. I have a report from the Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust about how that woodland might be managed more successfully, if you would like to see it.
Yes,
It was done about 2 or 3 years ago when I was in Answer, but it never went anywhere.
Okay.
But it is a good report, and it's worth you looking at.
Yes.
If you
Your Joyce, sorry.
Yeah, Joyce Clough, yeah.
Yeah, I recognise the name
I'll ask for your details, and then I'll
Lovely.
perhaps we get it back over to you.
Could I ask you to send it to me as well, Robin? I know I've probably had it before, but can you
Yes,
send it to me to remind me of it?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
And the whole input that we have from the residents on that issue.
Cool, thank you very much. Okay. So, deputation from the public,
I
full
think
count.
is Joyce still making it? Are you making a deputation about your paper, Joy?
No,
No.
I'm just going to hear them.
Okay, full council. To confirm the accuracy of the minutes from the meeting held on the 8th of March. Do you want to prepare us now? Okay.
Yeah, 2-3.
Did we have a proposer and a seconder?
I propose.
I know you did. So we don't have a seconder.
Well, you were here, weren't you?
I was here.
Who's on the list?
I'm just having a look. Lowe, Aisley, Williams, Nix.
No, we can then.
No, we can't.
But anyway.
Well,
Myself,
you both can do it.
you can second it.
I've voted it, you said.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Look, we're having a stressful day and you're not making it any better. Are you abstaining or coming with us?
If you seconded it.
Yeah, okay,
ask if
cool.
I know.
Carried.
It's not unanimous, because I'm going to abstain because I wasn't there.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillors' questions. Have we got anybody got any questions that you've received or? No? Okay, clerk's report. Do you want to go through it? Do you want me to read it? No, I've decided that I'm not going to read it, so you better read it.
Members, it's on your meeting notes. I can read them out again if you like, or,
Yep,
oh, we wouldn't say that. Okay, let's go. For the benefit of our residents, which is nice to see so many. Okay, we've got a group of 5 SEND children from the Grange Therapeutic School who be collecting litter from the parks in Cuts Close and Royce's playing fields on Monday afternoons. This is part of their community volunteering project. They are aware that if they want to clear litter from the roadside, that they'll need to then seek permission from RCC. The recent graffiti at the end of Feb in Cuts Close, the culprits have been identified and being dealt with. Community Speed Watch, RCC has confirmed that OTC is still first reserved for Speed Watch in 2023. They have 5 schemes have been scheduled in, but should any not be able to supply enough volunteers or they can't progress, then we will be contacted with a view to Oakham taking that space. And then if no spaces become available this year, then we will be in prime position for next year. We've received a request for a review of the Hobby Bus route. I've suggested we defer that until after the May election. Similarly, we've had a request for an update to the skate park project. Again, that's possibly if we consider it after the May election. Kathy, have I missed anything?
okay. Chairman's report. I've done a couple of things this week. On the 23rd, I went down to the opening of the police desk at the police station, not at RCC anymore. It is now moved and has a specific desk at the police station, which is now desk 10 till 4 every day. It is 10 till 4, isn't it?
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. So we need to make the public aware that that is actually happening now, that we have a police desk run by, well, she's not a police lady, but it's there and we can go in there for any reason whatsoever. The other meeting that I been to this week was the declaration of the new High Sheriff, which is now Geraldine Feely of Floor's House in Oakham. And she's quite into, when she was giving her speech, she was quite into homelessness. She's dealing with quite a bit of the homeless people around here, so hopefully she's going to do a good job during her year. And that's all I have to report back to you this time. Okay, so working groups. Okay, let's just get the right papers. 8.1, to receive and consider reports from members of working groups outside bodies. Has anybody been out that wants to tell us about it? No? Do you want to talk to us, Adam, about anything?
I'm not going on anything.
Okay.
I know what you've been on.
8.2, events update attached. So we're now up to spending 5,300 of the 12,000 that we have put to one side for the events this year. Although we have now changed the King's coronation, so he needs to come off there because he's got his own little pot of money now. If we can do that for next time, please. Thank you. 8.3. Right, you've had to print that one out for me, because I'm duplicates in mine, but not this one. Right, Councillor Lowe, would you like to take the
Yeah,
floor?
I think everyone's happy to discuss it. It's very simple, is that we had a set of keys that are unaccounted for, and if the council felt it was appropriate, there have been no issues or concerns with the office being entered by anybody that shouldn't be here. But if the council thought it was appropriate, do we need to change that lock? And it's as simple as that. If they feel they do, then we've got a plan for it, and if they feel we don't, then we don't have to worry about it. That's it.
So your proposal is to replace the lock?
If the rest of the council feel it's appropriate, yeah.
I'd like to second that. Do anybody?
I think in the interest of security, seeing as as we've got a set of keys unaccounted for and potential for malicious entry, then I think it would be advisable.
Yes. Okay, so Adam Lowe's proposed, I've seconded. All those in favour? 3 against, 1. So. Yeah. Thank you very much. 8.4.
Paul's asked me to represent that.
Okay, marvellous. Right, 8.4. Slowly but surely. Let me see it. Yes, it's because I've done an extra one. I'm confused. Right, so Councillor Ainsley has put this paper together and has requested that Councillor Lowe speaks about it as he couldn't get here
Because he's in Dublin.
because he's in
So-
Dublin.
Yeah, so this came up not so long ago, and it came through from Mrs. Clough. So thank you for approaching the council with the request. It's pretty straightforward paper where the Oakham United Charities basically want to appoint 3 trustees again, and they want Oakham Town Council in just to sign it off. There is a piece on here where Paul, I think, met with Mrs. Clough and asked if they could, if the Oakham Town Council would have the opportunity to put forth a trustee after the May elections, because historically that's how it used to be. There's no guarantee. Is that is it right with Chair that I just check with Mrs. Clough on the view on that?
Yes, the town council is quite welcome to put forward
Oh, right,
a councillor, but it is the council's duty to appoint trustees, but they do not have to be councillors. There's no regulation that says trustees have to be, or any of them need to be trustees. They need to be competent people who are prepared to put in a 3-year term of office, working actively to run the charity over that period of time. So the most important thing is that people who come as trustees are prepared to act as trustees, not simply come for one meeting and go away again, which is all we've had for the last 20 years.
Okay, no, brilliant, no, thank you, well, that's brilliant. So, in essence, is that the proposal is that the town council approve the 3 people that are mentioned on the paper here, and the second part is that if in May, that if somebody from the town council genuinely wants to contribute to the Oakham United Charities, that we would present that at that point. So the paper is as recommendations 1 and 2, which I'll propose on behalf of Paul, who isn't here.
Okay. Councillor, you're seconding it. All those in favour? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you. Got there in the end, do I? Thank you. Right. Consider correspondence received, 9.1.
Mayor,
Oh,
they want to go.
If you'll
of
excuse
course
us.
you can. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, 9.1, citizens advice. Rutland have sent us a letter for us to think about and to note. And we
Excuse
have
me.
requested that if they are requesting money, is it ones that we've asked them to put in a grant if they're wanting money? Yeah.
Chairman, are you going to do the thing it says on there where we can talk? Because I remember the change on that when I was on the council.
You can talk if you want to talk, if you
Okay, yeah. As many know, I have an issue with Oakham Town Council often spending money that doesn't benefit the people of the parish. And when I was on the council, there was a compromise, and the citizens' advice do a very good job, and you must say the citizens' advice because you get fined by them if you say the old name. because I went as council's representation and found that out. This council agreed, and we're talking a long time ago, that yes, they would give the money, but I think it was Mrs. Clayton-Jones, who was then the CEO, she's not now, agreed that they would then provide the council with evidence of this particular project, which benefited the residents of Oakham rather than the wider community, because they didn't actually come to the town council until Rutland County Council pulled the funding on them and another lot of other groups. So I would like you to look into the possibility of ensuring that you're not just throwing money at them, because they do have money, and if the council is minded to repeat what they did in the past and follow it up, that would be good.
Yep, Karen's got that noted.
Thank you.
So she will be looking into that for us, thank you.
I was whispering into Councillor Wadsworth here, as you stood up, that we would like to see the accounts, and also we want specific information on how residents know.
Yeah, they used to send the accounts every year, because they at one time it used to be an honorary position for the mayor to go on to the meetings, which to be honest were rather pointless, because you don't have any voting or any input, you just sit there. But the nice thing is, once a year you go to their annual meeting and have lots of nice sandwiches and cakes and tea.
Okay, 9.3. We've had a letter from Churches Together in Oakham. Sorry, 9.2. I thought we were accepting that one, mine.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
It's on the agenda, you can't go into it until we've talked about it.
Yeah, 9.2, my recommendation is, because that involves the bowling club and the lease, that we move that into exempt items with council's approval.
Okay, so do we have a proposal?
Yeah.
Thank you, and seconded. All those in favour?
Very animated.
That means we've got to go out and sit on the step again.
Okay, so 9.3, Churches Together have sent us a correspondence. I'm writing to let you know that once again the Churches Together in Oakham will be conducting their annual walk of witness through the town on Good Friday. So basically, if anybody wants to go along, they're more than welcome. Starting from Westgate, so it's usually around the back of Wilco's, if I remember correctly, and it starts at 10:30 if anybody wishes to join. Okay, number 10, finance and governance issues. Community lighting recharge. Are you Paul Ainsley again, Councillor Lowe?
I've not put all the weight on yet.
Oh, that's recorded.
Yeah. No, all the waiting time, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Paul's put this paper together. So as we're aware, the invoice this year was £23,920, which is a huge increase on last year, which was only about whatever it was. You know, it's increased by a large amount of money. The clerk had paid £14,650. And Paul is suggesting that for the reasons detailed in this paper, that the council now moves to pay the outstanding balance of £9,270 because we did receive it as an invoice. It's a case of, do the councillors feel that we should be paying this level of fee? There's still a dispute going off that the community lighting recharge was considerably less. And I've done a little bit of digging and discovered that we actually made the agreement in 2016/2017. The Rutland County Council seems so far not being able to find any agreement that we should even be paying this. So whereas Paul's saying that we should be paying this because it's the balance of an invoice, there could be an argument that should we be paying any of it at all? We should now be asking for the £14,650. We should never ask me to present this paper. Should we be asking for the £14,650 back?
Probably.
But the bottom line is, that the council has sat around the table, is that for the sake of a working in partnership, and to put this one to bed, that we make it with a no commitment that we'll be paying the same again next year, and that a thorough investigation and understanding of exactly what and why we're paying it is then carried forward. So the invoice, do we pay the balance? If there's any questions or any debate, fill your boots.
Anyone got anything to add?
Well, the only thing I would say that obviously there is this agreement, we've had an agreement as council though, as it was just mentioned, so therefore I don't think we should be paying any more money until it's been investigated, because at the end of the day, this is public money that, with all due respect, they've already charged the people of Oakham once through their council tax, and we're charging them again through our council tax to pay for street lighting. It used to be at one time that community street lighting was always the smaller footpath lighting was what the councils paid, parish councils paid for. But this they just lump everything in, so it's the whole thing, the whole town that we get lumped with. And I know we keep saying we should work in partnership with Rutland County Council, but at the end of the day, £23,000 out of our budget is a lot of money we could do with other projects. And I'm going to move that we don't pay it until the investigations have been carried out.
I picked this up last week when I arrived, and I did ask why is it more. All I've had from RCC at the moment, and this is the email response I had on the 10th of March, 20th of March, sometime last week before. Our annual recharges, they say, our annual recharges are nothing to do with the Christmas lights and are in respect of the street lights in all public residential areas across Oakham Town. All town and parish councils recharged at the rate charged by the utility companies based on the lights in their area. Then they've broken down the last 5 years. So in 1819, we recharged £11,499.97. 1920, it was £12,819.46. 2021, £12,764.70. 21-22, £14,931.96. Wait for it. 22-23, £23,920.12. They say that the significant increase this year is obviously due to the energy price increases we've all been faced with. That's it. That's all the information they've given.
But we as Councillor Lowe's alluded to, in 2016, 2017, we signed an agreement that we would pay X.
Yeah.
And this is going back to when we had a contract with the flower people, and they came back and went, oh, it's cost us more money to grow the plants, but you've agreed a price. We've already agreed a cost with the Rutland County Council, and so it's so easy for us to keep going, oh, let's just pay it, let's roll over, and because it's the Rutland County Council, we don't ruffle any feathers. At the end of the day, people of Oakham are paying twice for their street lighting, and they are paying a huge amount of money for street lighting that we don't need to pay because we have this written agreement.
Yeah, I concur with David on this one massively. We've got a fixed agreement in place that we have. Well, we have evidence apparently that we signed it, even if they don't. And the fact that it's been invoiced to us bears, well, there's no bearing on that whatsoever, just because it's invoiced. I think at least we need to have a thorough investigation for it, and then come back to it once sort of looked at that.
Yes, we also pay for our Christmas lights separately. Nothing to do with
Yeah, I don't know why they've mentioned
I know
Christmas
that's
lights.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nothing to do with that. So, back to square one. Oh, Martin Brooks, did you want to say something quick?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up. I know that I do put things in emails, but the public don't always see that. So I'm hoping that you won't pay it, because I was on the council when this came up, as I've said before, and it was mentioned at the last meeting that the council were told in a letter, because that's how they used to do things at Rutland County Council, and that should be attached to the minutes, that it would be that amount which pays for the street lighting in the town centre. So you're not even paying for the bypass or any of the main roads, it's just round the towns and where people live.
I think that's what Councillor
Yeah,
Owen was.
Yeah,
referring to, yeah.
and we voted as a council then to pay it a bit reluctantly. It was the same, oh well, we've got to get on with Rutland County Council. And as it was pointed out, and you can see from those figures, I'm not an expert in maths like those sort of figures, but the agreement was that it would only increase by 5% each year, which seemed extraordinary because that's what they asked us to do as a council. So to pay them the money, they're never going to give it back, and then they would assume next year that Oakham Town Council will roll over again, and it could be the rate energy's going on electricity, it could be 40,000 next year, and you don't budget for it.
Okay, Councillor Bromley, were you making a proposal?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I propose that the permanent payment be deferred until we have a chance to find the agreement that was signed in 2016-2017, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favour?
But even if you can't find the agreement, the minutes are the legal binding.
Okay, 10.2. Right. Oh, it's you, Councillor Lyon. That's Councillor Lyon.
Yeah, I alluded to this at the last meeting after we gave a comprehensive feedback on the finances, and the decision of the council prior to that anyway was that we would bin cash from the council building and get rid of the petty cash Realtis ledger that we don't need to use anymore. However, there is still this unaccounted cash. I haven't put a figure on here, as been mentioned earlier on, because I wasn't entirely sure, because I'd asked an RFO and proper officer check my figures to make sure what I'd found was correct. So if the council agrees that we need to decide to I say write off that cash, I mean it's a sorrowful state of affairs, but you know, do we have know what the actual figure was on that?
Not yet, not yet.
No, okay.
Yeah, it's quite galling because Kathy and I, last year, we made sure that the petty cash, I think it was over by a few pence rather than under before I left, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah.
It's less than 200, isn't it?
I was just going to say, I've got a sort of like ballpark.
Yeah, I think when we did the handover last year, I think we made sure there was more than what there should be. I thought it was just a little bit over a few pounds. Let's not worry about it because it's in OTC's favour.
So the proposal is, Chairman, that this is that the petty cash that is unaccounted for has to be written off, and that the Realtis cash book is reconciled accordingly. That enables the end of the financial year accounts to be closed off. And then that maybe that when we get to the end of the year financials, the actual final figures could be detailed then.
Yeah.
But the public could be reassured it is less than £200.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Bromley, all those in favour? Unanimous. Right, 10.3, did we decide that one's going to be?
Yeah, can that be put under, that should be under exempt as well.
Okay, so do we have a proposal to exempt 10.3?
Thank you.
Thank you, I'll second it. All those in favour? Thank you. Number 11.
It's quite funny.
This year will be the King Charles III's coronation, and on the 7th of May 2023, Oakham Town Council will be holding a party in the park, Cuts Close, to celebrate. To make this available for all, it has been suggested that we run the hopper bus around the town on this day. With it being a normal bank holiday, they would not normally run the bus service, but as we are now part involved with the hopper bus, we would like, well, I'd like to propose that we look into using the hopper bus more often, especially for events like this. Does anybody have anything to say, Councillor Lowe?
So was this the suggested, where it says it has been suggested, was it suggested by you then? Or was it suggested by another organisation?
I went to a meeting with RCC Hopper
Team.
and I suggested it there, They've suggested that we can use the hopper bus, we can change the route if we want to change the route. This is as a normal thing. It is down to Oakham Town Council to make propositions to them if we ever wanted to change anything or to offer an extra service. And at the time I said, well, actually, we've got the King's Coronation coming up and it would be nice if we could use the hopper bus around the town to bring more people into the park. Councillor Bromley.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to, it's a pity they couldn't have given you a costing, which I think they should have been able to do, because a tank full of diesel's 200 quid, whatever the guy's wages is on a bank holiday would be double time. I mean, as it is at the minute, if you say we're going to spend £1,000, through my maths, the guy's on £100 an hour. I'll do it. I'm not saying I'm against it. It would have just been nice to have had, you know, this is what we'd like to do, this is how much it's going to cost, as opposed to a budget costing, which is what we've got here. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just would have liked a bit more of a pinned down price, because you haven't got a lot left in your budget on the King's Coronation, have you?
£7,500 I've got, thanks love.
What, for the King's Coronation?
You shouldn't have missed that last meeting, David.
Yes. It was also proposed, and Emma, her name's Emma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also suggested that they have a lot of volunteer drivers that may take up volunteering to drive the bus on that day, which will make it free of charge on that side. Obviously, we'll still have to pay for the petrol. But as soon as we give Emma the nod, she can look into whether she can get some volunteers into it, or we have to pay for the drive.
I have no problem with paying the guy, don't get me wrong. It's just that I would have thought an organisation like Rutland County Council should have been able to go, well, to run this bus for a day is going to cost you X.
Yeah. They may have been able to do that, but at the time it was just thrown into the conversation. I mean, I can bring paper back with the exact.
Yeah, I'd like to propose that we accept this based on a more robust costing.
And
that we evaluate the usage. Because if it only picks up 30 people, we had this with, just a member of the public mentioned that we used to do this on late night shopping. We actually got buses to go out to the towns, or the villages rather, because we're the town, aren't we, allegedly?
yes.
And bring people in, and it proved to be not as successful as we'd have liked. So support again with what it said. We agree that we actually gather a bit of data to see if it is a worthwhile event to do in the future.
Okay. No,
Really?
you've got 2 minutes. Oh,
Well, no, I don't
2
need
minutes.
2 minutes, but it is your discretion as it
Come
says
on.
on the agenda.
Quickly.
I just sort of remind some people, because they wouldn't have been here, but there's a gentleman here from the town partnership, and he will remember late night shopping, and that was a perfect example of running a bus with poor Santa sitting in it with no passengers. I used to go and just check, because we could never get the figure of who was using it. So in the end, the town council said, no, we won't fund it. It's quite a big significant difference in figure, because if I remember off the top of my head, and I'm not always right, but we wouldn't be talking of paying more than £150 or £200
Well, that'd be good then.
at a late night Christmas shopping to run a bus from 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock, just driving around, Oakham. So it did concern me when I saw that the figure was 1,000, and I think Rutland County Council seem to be a little better these days of getting figures, although I did point out that when they said that the hopper bus, when you took it on, was carrying hundreds of passengers, when it actually passes my lounge window most mornings before I go out, and I can see quite often it's empty, and so I don't 100% trust their figures, but it would be nice if you did decide to do it and not cost £1,000, and that you get some record. They can push a button on a ticket machine to.
It's not a problem.
I think this was the issue with the tourist bus as well, that it wasn't used, and when it was used, it was mainly people who were just going on a little sightseeing local with their bus passes.
Sounds good to me. That's
Could I
the
make
next.
an amendment to my solicitor earlier as well? That we also advertise it accordingly, not necessarily at any expense, but I think social media is a great tool to at least let the wider community know that we are doing something like that. And I think that should be. Yeah, all of our low cost and no cost.
We can print off some flyers and have the bus hand them out.
Yes, because we can, and we have also, in my conversation that I had with them, they have said if there's anything that we want to advertise or anything like that, we just have to send it all over to Emma and she will instigate putting it onto the trustees for us. So we don't actually have to do anything, just
Is that
give her the
no cost?
information. There was no mention of any costs.
Perhaps that's something that should we revisit this at some point when we've got some more firm costs?
You haven't got a lot of time, have you? No.
Not for the coronation, no, but
Inclusive in.
She did say that in April.
yeah.
It shouldn't really take a while for that much time to, at least a bit of a.
We've got
Yeah, I think-
another meeting
Apparently you
before.
don't have to
12th of April.
Apparently you don't even have to pay it. Because they can't do it. They're not allowed to.
Okay, I think we're all happy to do it, so let's
Well, you
get
could,
the
you
costing.
could agree in principle to go ahead,
I'd like it to
requesting
go
further
ahead
details of the
because
costings
I
from the
see
council
drivers
and advertising, and then
sometimes
sign it off. Yeah, we send in principle, sign it off.
Yeah.
The D is always
Yeah.
true.
Got that? Excellent. So who was proposing that?
Well, yeah, Chris.
And who's seconding it? Councillor Romney? All those in favour?
Can I have this in bigger font, please?
Yeah, Paul.
Did I call him?
No, I called him Paul. I called him Nick,
And
Paul.
next weekend, I'll if they like.
Let's call you Rita.
Just call him Fred.
It's a long time.
It's all right.
It's
only been here about 2 years.
They did it.
How do you read it?
Right, Dave. Because this was scheduled to be a planning meeting, but we had changed it into a full council meeting. We have a couple of planning issues. Or, not issues, planning applications, that's the word.
You okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you said that last time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I checked it out earlier.
Yeah, we have to get it now.
It's behind you.
It's not the best layout, but it's better than the old.
Are you in
place,
charge of
isn't
the
it?
lights, Mr. Lowe?
I've turned it off. I don't need lights off, do I?
I can't bloody see it.
I can do the lights off. If you want the lights, you want to come and see?
Yes. I can't see it anyway.
I was going to say it's too far for you, Chairman.
I haven't got the right glasses on.
Have a little tree survey first.
It's all right, because I've already read the
Our
board.
opera glasses with you.
No, I can't see it. Right, so we've got reference 2023-0213. We've got a tree decay detection survey and assessment of a eucalyptus tree. They want to reduce it all round by more than 3 metres as per recommendations for the tree report. So this is the actual house at number 47 Brook Road, the location. It's not coming up.
So that's on the town side of Brook Road, in case anybody's not sure.
I don't want to go. Right,
Pretty much just before the cricket lawn.
is it? Just share with you.
I couldn't get one, but just.
So you can see this is the first view of the tree, looking west. So it looks quite healthy. But then when you go to the actual stem, you can see it's got fungal fruit body to the west. That's the red arrow. And it's got a location of higher resistance measurement, which is the yellow arrow.
So
It's not looking good.
So they want it felled because it's diseased.
Yes, basically,
Well,
in a nutshell.
given the report and the evidence presented, I'll propose that the council support the
It's only reducing it all round
Right.
So they want to do it by 3 metres.
by 3 metres, not put the whole thing down.
Yeah, so I still the stage we go with what's recommended of it.
Yeah, and I'll second that. All those in favour?
Thank you.
Yeah, have you got your torches?
What's next?
I think eyes have become accustomed to it.
Yes, 2023/0227/4 proposal, retrospective erection of a temporary wood shed.
So it's called Pause for Play.
Oh, this is the dog.
Dog shed, yeah, dogs.
Nice.
So in retrospect,
I
that
didn't
means
think
it's
you
already
needed
been.
permission for a temporary building.
They didn't, but then when you read the paperwork, RCC have requested it now,
Because it's at Braunston, land at Braunston Road in Oakham.
but it's not really,
Just right.
it's in a farm,
Yeah.
And
in a
he,
field, in the middle of nowhere.
and apparently he wants to paint it so it blends in with the trees.
Oh, yeah, so you painted it grey.
That's what he said on his report.
Yeah, oh, that's not really temporary, is it? Yeah, that's quite a permanent look at building.
I think that's perhaps why
I
RCC
think that's why
have
RCC,
requested.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's retrospective, and obviously RCC requesting it tends to suggest that they would support the application.
Just kind of.
So I would propose that we accept
Yeah, I'll
again.
second it, all those in
I can't think of
favour?
anything else not to, obviously.
Wave your torch.
nice
Yeah.
place,
Cool. Okay, 2023/0268 PTA.
Just a location plan for them.
What's that for? Is that a tree coming out?
So it's, one is, number one's a conifer that's grown up to the crown of a large beech tree, which makes it overcrowded. They want to remove the
Yeah,
tree
we
to
want to
ground
take these
level.
all out.
And then number 4, T4, is tree number 3.
They're all.
No.
No, sorry, it's all the
It's
conifers.
They're all conifers,
Yeah,
yeah.
All the conifers,
3, conifers on the left-hand side of the garden shed to be removed due to growing to the crown of the large sycamore, making it also overcrowded. It does look
Move
overcrowded.
approval, Madam Chair.
We do, let's stand there and all very overcrowded with trees now that they've all grown to mature.
Remove all the trees, I've changed the name, haven't they, from Redwood to something else.
Did you propose that,
I
David?
did, yes.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay, I think we've got one left.
Yes, 2023/0268. 73, yeah, sorry.
That's all right. It's me, God.
Oh, no, hold on.
So basically, they just want to pollard
Yeah.
their trees
Fence, right.
on Campus Park Road. Again, that is quite a
It's
tree
got
area.
It's got a dieback, hasn't it? According to this.
Yeah.
Maple, over palm, removed to give more clearance to the garden.
It's gone.
Yeah,
I mean, that just sounds like.
but it's
Yeah,
just a
it-
case
it-
of tidying up the
Yes, it
trees,
is, and
isn't
it's
it?
just, when you read it, it is, they are just basically wanting to do maintenance to the trees, aren't they?
Yeah. So do we have a proposer?
Move.
Oh, God, now that's waking us up.
What is that?
Okay,
You could have
that's the
done
next second it. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, we're all done.
You've done it.
Oh, you're just too good. I'm not used to it. Right, number 13, exempt items. To consider the following resolution that in view of the confidential nature of the following agenda items, the present public be excluded from the meeting in accordance with Public Bodies Act 1960, Section 1. Thank you very much.
Proposed by Chris.
Oh yeah, thanks. Seconded by